Hey guys, Jackdaw here, returning to your screens with another vlog-style video. Today I'm delving into Dragon Age 4's hinted inspirations for its narrative and story. Throughout the course of reading too much into every single BioWare developer tweet, there have been a few rather noteworthy mentions to particular media that is inspiring the next Dragon Age's plot. From Shakespeare to the Bible to even wacky comic book time travelers, we currently have three main influences for the next game's narrative. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first narrative inspiration we're going to look at relates to a line from Shakespeare's play Richard III, as Mark Darrah tweeted about the working plot title of the next Dragon Age being Tevinter of Our Discontent. The phrase itself is a double entendre of Winter of Our Discontent, which are the opening words to the play Richard III, in which they lay the groundwork for the portrayal of Richard as a discontented man who is somewhat happy that his family has retaken the throne. However, he is rather upset with the fact that his brother is king and he is not. In essence, Winter of Our Discontent is a metaphor in which Richard has used winter and summer to suggest that the reign of King Edward IV had turned sadness, which is like winter, into celebration, like summer. While the opening of this play starts on a victorious note for Richard and the royal family, by the end of this soliloquy, Richard wants to become king for himself, and decides to kill anyone in order to get there. Later, Shakespeare described Richard as deformed, unfinished, sent before his time into this breathing world, scarce half made up. Because he cannot prove a lover, Richard, therefore, was determined to be a villain. By the end of the play, Richard killed everyone who stood in his way, became the king for a brief moment, and then spooky ghosts appeared to kill him. You know, typical Shakespearean tragedy and all that. Now, I'm not going to verbatim line up every single plot point with regards to the next Dragon Age game because that's just not realistic. However, a lot of this text can actually correlate to Solas and his scheme. You see, Solas walks the current world of 4's, sent before his time, bitter at the state of his people. He has cast out his brethren to the beyond, and the only tales that exist from this story paint him as the evil Dread Wolf, the greatest adversary in elven mythology, feared and hated by the modern elves, as of which he has decided for himself to walk the journey of death to restore the time of the elves, henceforth bringing happiness to his people once more, like a warm summer replacing a bitter winter. However poetic that may sound, Solas' scheme will bring an end to 4's as we know it. It seems only the elves will be spared, and the rest of the world will not endure, even though Solas has a good intention, being the restoration of his own people. His plan of action will literally bring genocide. Henceforth, Solas shares a lot of attributes with Richard. More poignantly, the line, "cannot prove a lover and therefore is determined to be a villain," sticks out most to me. But scheming up a mass death plot for your own desires is also a shared characteristic of the two. Moving on, the second narrative inspiration we have relates to the Bible. We gathered from another Mark Darrah tweet that Dragon Age 4 may take inspiration from the fourth book of the Old Testament in the Bible, being the Book of Numbers. To break this one down quickly, because this isn't Sunday school and I am nobody's pastor, the book starts following Moses leading the people of Israel on their way to find the promised land that God has bestowed to them. However, the Israelites quickly began to complain, murmur, and disobey Moses' leadership, and for these acts, God destroyed approximately 15,000 of them through various means. When they arrived at the border of their promised land, they sent spies into the land. Upon hearing their fearful reports concerning the conditions of this promised land, the Israelites refused to take possession of it. For rejecting their God-given land, God condemned them all to death in the wilderness until a new generation could grow up and carry out this task. The book ends with a new generation of Israelites crossing into the promised land whom had no knowledge of their ancestors' previous sinfulness and rejection of the land. In short, God raised up a new group of people who had forgotten their previous generations past and instead had complete obedience to God so they could take what was originally promised to them. Now maybe it's just me reading too much into things as I casually do, but I see an obvious relation to Solas within this plot. Solas is leading the elves on his mission of annihilation that will usher in a new age for his kind, an age where the elves will soon forget their previous troubles that they face in present 4's, but a new world where they can thrive with wonderful magic and immortality. Solas declares that his people need him. The current elves, known as the Dalish, face falsehoods and misunderstandings of their history, culture and religion, which Solas resents and seeks to change. Like God, Solas is raising a newer generation of his people for a post-Veil world. The older generation, like the Dalish, know Fen-Horel as a monstrous god. If a newer generation was not taught this, they could live and thrive with Solas, not knowing he had destroyed Thedas to bring them this new reality. And the final non-literature based inspiration for Dragon Age 4 is, believe it or not, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, of all the shows they are going to take inspiration from. This was hinted by Patrick Weeks, stating that their perfect reference for a narrative beat might be something done on DC's Legends of Tomorrow. For the uninitiated, basically, this CW show surrounds a bunch of DC superheroes that save the timeline by visiting iconic eras and historical figures, uncovering greater evils that threat humanity as they know it. Patrick's tweet actually inspired me to pick up the show again, because I did love watching the Arrowverse shows when I was a teenager, but I stopped around 2017 when I entered university. But actually I was really greatly surprised with the show's progression, since it's rather subpar first season. I would say the second, third and fourth season were truly, really enjoyable. I did very much enjoy the show's cast of characters and the chemistry that they each share, especially the inclusion of my Liverpudlian lad, working class warlock John Constantine, hands down the best character in my opinion, with all of his British splendour. So Shakespeare and the Bible, it's pretty obvious, but what could the Dragon Age team actually take inspiration from this show? Well, the character interactions are what truly define the show. No matter what enemies they face, the team managed to ragtag together and defeat the greater evil that harmed them as a family. And there is always time for romance within the Legends, so plenty of unique character interactions could inspire many narratives. With absolutely massive casts of characters, the Arrowverse shows often collaborate together, creating an epic narrative that span multiple episodes. Perhaps the Dragon Age team are finding inspiration for involving so many new and old characters into a narrative, with many faces meeting for the first time and many original characters joining the ride one last time. Or if they are taking a very literal reference to the show, well, Legends of Tomorrow is all about time travel. Are we dealing with more time magic in Dragon Age 4? Is Solas going to go back in time to actually stop the Veil's creation, and our characters with the new squad are going to then rival him throughout time itself? As always, an interesting tinfoil, but regardless, these are just my thoughts and my speculations on hinted media that may or may not inspire the next Dragon Age's narrative. I believe there was also a Muppets tweet by Patrick Weeks, however with very much less context, otherwise, as you know, you would have expected a total breakdown of me going into many different Muppet shows because I absolutely adore Jim Henson and the Muppets. But if any of you guys actually know any more about that one or what that could relate to and you can unravel it for yourselves, do let me know in the comment section down below. But until the next one, give me all your thoughts, let me know what inspirations you would like to see for Dragon Age 4's narrative. What do you think about these three so far? But until the next one, I've been Jackdaw and I should go. Whoa, 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 whoa.